Welcome to the Breathing Edge podcast.
Welcome.
So this podcast is actually very different because it is a setup to a series called the Energized Leader series. And what this is about is it's about leaders who cultivate the energy to inspire and impact their community at large. Now, we're going to be interviewing quite a few leaders in their field, and they're very, I would say they're very energized as far as like they're driven. They just, there's something about them. They just have a very high energy about them, and they're doing some really cool things on the planet.
Now, remember, when it comes to leadership, you leading yourself is the first lesson in leadership that everyone needs to learn. Everybody's a leader, whether you're in a relationship, whether you've got kids, whether you work at the local school or you're a teacher. It doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to be in charge of some world organization or be some world leading entrepreneur. It doesn't matter. Leadership is the same. When you're in a meat sack, it's the same thing. You need to be leading your meat sack first before you can lead anything else.
I think we should do a whole podcast on that, actually. So usually when we meet a leader as such, and whether you're leading yourself or you're leading an organization or leading a global impact, you fall into one of four categories that we've noticed. And one category, the first category is usually, they're learning, they're gathering their tools and their abilities, kind of a little bit ad hoc with some of their strategies, but they're picking up some momentum. The second category is they're a little bit more of a technical sort of a leader, where they found some systems and processes that work really well for them, and they're following them, and they're sticking to that, and they're staying the course. And usually that's when we find that leaders start to kind of magnify a little bit about their message or their mission. The third category is kind of now reaching a level of mastery, where you've got some rungs on the board, you've got some tools in your tool belt, you've magnified what you're doing, and you're now ready to multiply and take it to the next level. And the fourth level of leadership that we have experienced or seen people or worked with people in, or one of the above, is I couldn't find a word for this, so we just kind of call it the force. where
it's in flow. It's when your impact and your influence far exceeds what you do on a daily basis. It's like, think about your influence and your impact working while you're asleep. That's the kind of thing, and being in flow is a difficult and often elusive thing. You might have heard the term being thrown around a lot, but really when you look at leadership, there really is only one area that you're all heading to in leadership, and that is to be in flow. That is to be able to scale your message, your impact, your influence, and all of these things. And what we mean here by scale is that you're still getting the same amount of punch out of what you do, but you're doing either the same or less when it comes to your energy. And this is a real key element of what we've seen with all these leaders, is that everybody's got their own stuff. Everybody's running their own race. Everybody has got something unique about them. And what is the constant, the one thing for me personally that I see all the time is that energy is the key to all of it. As a leader, think about this. What would you do if you had double the amount of energy? Or what could you do if you had double the amount of energy?
That is a really great question, because I think quite often, all the leaders that we're going to be interviewing have had an experience with their own personal energy. And what we've noticed is that there's something called the founder's energy or the leader's energy, and how the energy is of the leader directly reflects in what they're doing in the world, or what they're doing in their business, or what they're doing in their community, or even what they're doing in their life.
Now, close your ears if you're in America. Just think Donald Trump. Just even in Australian politics, have a look at how the leader's energy is affecting what's going on. You know, what kind of policies getting put in place, what is happening, what direction that we're going in. So, you know, this is super important. It seems so simple, and often when we have spoken to leaders about it, it's just not something that people put any emphasis on. Is as Angie mentioned, the leader's energy or the founder's energy.
Now, what we have noticed as well is that, man, every leader has issues. We're all working with the same issues, just a different scale and a different perspective. So
same with we've had this before where we've spoken to gurus, right? And what's a guru? A guru is a normal person that has normal shit going on, that just practices something that other people don't. Really, that's why. I mean, people call us gurus all the time, you know, and now I used to hate it. I used to be like, I don't want to be called a guru. It's not. I don't know everything, but I started to understand that a guru is just somebody who practices something that other people don't, and so it gives you a certain superpower that does not make you susceptible to the everyday shit of life that you go through, whether it's, you know, being a mother or a father, you know, maintaining a relationship, you know, being a friend, being a colleague and a co-worker, and all these sorts of things. So it doesn't, the problems do not disappear or go away. However, as a leader, you're looked to as a person of influence. You're looked to as what happens when the shit hits the fan. Everyone looks at the leader. And if you look over history, leadership is one of those really difficult things, because have a look over history. How many leaders have you seen being crucified for doing something that was seemingly selfless or in the name of the betterment of the people or the advancement of a movement or something like that, and people get crucified. So it's a slippery slope being a leader.
And the interesting, like exactly what you're saying, is that, you know, as you know, if you're a leader that has a following, it comes with a certain level of responsibility and pressure, I would say, because we've had leaders come to us saying, you know, they're having a human experience, not knowing who to reach out to, because they're looked in such a way that is, you know, looked up to. And if they had a problem, then, you know, what would people think? And so what we're doing is we're exploring and kind of shedding the light on, we're calling them energized leaders because we're all human, and we're having a human experience here. And I think it's important to remember that when it comes to leadership. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn, as we start interviewing these people, we're going to learn what's working for them as an energized leader in their life. What is it? How is it that they're doing it? And for me, the most powerful, why? Why are you doing what you're doing? And
for your personality,
it's
why. For my personality, it's how. Right? So like we've all got these different, and these are interesting things that we're going to discuss. You know, we're going to look in detail in the questions that we ask the leaders that we're interviewing. We're going to look in detail as to, we understand that what everyone does is different. However, there's these certain threads that are through, when you listen to the interviews, you'll hear the threads that will come through in these, just like that horn honking out there. You know, that you will hear these certain threads. You'll hear, you know, how they organize their life. You'll hear what kind of habits that they do religiously that gives them their superpowers. And you'll also hear about people's different perspective on what a leader is to them, and what a leader is to the teams, or, you know, I don't want to say devotees. There are followers of the tribe. Yeah, like what is it that they are to those people as well? And I think that's going to become very important as you listen to the interviews and start to absorb the leadership qualities from them.
Yeah, and I think that the main part here is the human experience too, because a lot of the leaders that we've already interviewed, there is a level of vulnerability that becomes their superpower, where they have this level of resilience and a human experience where they do things that are simple, but maybe just not easy. So what as we dive into our conversations with them, we'll uncover some common misunderstandings.
Yeah, the what, the how, the
myths,
why, the myths,
and what is it that comes with being a great leader? What is it that they're experiencing around that, and the lessons that they're learning.
So, and then what we will specifically be talking about and looking for in these interviews is we're going to talk about how do you scale. How do these leaders scale their energy? What is it that they do? We're going to look, we mentioned before about the habits, but we're also going to look at drive, like their purpose. And, what we've found in our journey around personal energy and around helping people upgrade their personal energy is that the physical part of it is super important because it's stuff that you can do something about. You can do stuff about your body. You can do stuff about, how much outside time you get and the breathing and all of this. But what I've found is super interesting is that things like your basic assumptions about yourself, your model of the world that you operate in, these are all mental and emotional things. These things are reservoirs of untapped energy that are available to you. It's just that they are so friggin' elusive. Like you really do need to have a big pool of energy to face and slay these dragons of the emotions and things like that. It is not an easy task at all. And Angie and I have been doing our own personal work around this for many years now, and I was speaking to some friends the other day and talking about this very subject, and I said to them, I think everyone thinks that once you overcome some emotional blockages and some things that it just gets easier. It doesn't. It doesn't.
You uncover other things.
Exactly. You open up to a bigger field. You are actually in a bigger field. So, so what's to understand about this? And we made in a recent podcast, we made the analogy of having power for your shields to be up. So this is what it comes to. You more energy becomes available to you, and what commonly we see happen is once more energy becomes available, people fill it with more stuff, or they try and overcome more stuff. Whereas what's happened is once this energy becomes available to you and this space becomes available to you, it's up to you to sort of kind of like sit in it for a little while and not fill it up with other stuff straight away. So it's a coming into that awareness and sitting in that awareness for a while without trying to do stuff straight away.
And that takes energy.
It does take a huge amount of energy.
It's like trying to meditate when you have like a to-do list this long and then you're sitting there thinking of everything that you have to do. Like it takes energy to sit in the nothingness. And so as we interview these leaders, we're going to uncover how they do it. So we invite you to listen to these interviews, learn their inside secrets to their energized success, and have a little bit of a play with it and see if there is something in it for you, something that you can pick up for yourself that you can use as a leader in your own life.
It's not in the words, it's in the practice.
Welcome to the Breathing Edge podcast.
Welcome.
Okay, so as you know, we're right in the middle of our Energize a Leader series. And I thought I would talk about a very unique couple. Who I'm meaning me and Shane. So we thought, look, why not ask some serious questions about us and let's just, I thought, I'll interview you, Shane, and I'll just kind of like ask some questions and dig deep into, what makes you tick and what do you do with your own personal energy.
I don't accept interviews. Like straight off the bat.
But I'm cute, so I'll ask him serious questions. But I'll share my perspective as well, as far as living with him and how we use this sort of energy in our own family atmosphere and how it bleeds over into business as well. And I thought that might be kind of pretty useful to those people that are in business together, or if you are in business and you have children or a family life as well. That's something that's important to you. So the first question, this is kind of like in the context of personal energy. That's kind of like, that's our jam here. Like we love dealing with our own personal energy.
We're just like, this is not rehearsed either.
No, obviously.
This is like straight off the cuff.
So I do have questions ready, prepared though. So the first question that I want to ask you, Shane, is what drains you the most?
Lack of self-discipline.
Oh, right. Okay, so what is it about lack of self-discipline that you feel drains the energy from you?
The self-discipline to me is like a base foundation of keeping your house in order. And I think that the lack of self-discipline is what drains me the most, but I guess the things that come with that are looking at the constant struggle that you have with yourself around self-worth, around who you are, around why you're here. These are probably quite deep questions, and I think that I think they go on for everybody. I think that everybody has them. It's just how much awareness you have on these questions that will either have you turn into a crazy person.
I think we're all crazy,
right?
by the way,
like a little bit, yeah,
way.
or not, or whether you try and avoid these things and push them to the side. And I can't speak for anyone else, because when I'm alone by myself and I'm thinking and I'm doing things, I would think that nobody else would. If someone else got inside my mind, they would probably run for the hills.
Well, I'm married to you
because of the intensity that I guess I investigate these questions within myself.
And here's the interesting thing too, coming from...
I'm speaking off the cuff here.
Yeah, so coming from... Shane has a tendency to be more of an introvert. I have a tendency to be more of an extrovert, believe it or not.
But I want to qualify that as well. It's not, these terms, and these are Carl Jung. If you don't know Carl Jung, look up his psychology. It's amazing. He had these terms, that he used a lot, and I think that introvert and extrovert, I think a lot of people think that there's something to do with your outward personality or the way that you appear. Extroverts at a party are the ones having the good time, and introverts are the shy people that don't want to talk to anyone. I don't exactly see it like that. I just see it as if someone is internally focused or someone is externally focused. I think that they're the two things. So it doesn't mean that you, as an introvert, cannot hold a conversation with people or cannot address large crowds of people. I address large crowds of people all the time. And we were talking about this the other day. If you want to be an extroverted, introverted person, you'll find that you'll hear what they're thinking. I mean, a lot of people will hear what I'm thinking because I just say what I think. Yeah. So I just want to qualify that and make sure that's a difference.
And I'm so glad that you explained it like that in that particular way, because that's kind of like where I was trying to go with it, which is, I love it how you do this. And because you said what drains you the most is lack of discipline, and then that you have a thought process that goes through in your head, and if you're left kind of like to your own devices, you kind of would it be safe to say that you might get lost in your thinking, and that would drain your energy?
Oh yeah, 100%. So the intellectual mind is the mightier than they say mightier than the sword, mightier than the pen is your mind. It's a thing that's revered the most, I think, in our society right now. And I know what my analytical, intellectual mind is like. It's razor sharp. I want it that way. And it can also be an Achilles heel because, you can get stuck in your mind analyzing, and there'll be people out there that will be listening to this going, yeah, I get it. Trying to analyze everything, and of course trying to analyze emotional shit, which is just ridiculous when you think about it.
Well, yeah, emotions are nonsensical. It's energy, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's interesting because for me, what drains me the most is, I would say, blame. I have a tendency to want to initially knee-jerk reaction blame somebody else, but then I go immediately like knee-jerk reaction blame myself. And I think that is a lot of what drains me. And then, of course, getting lost into the analytical thinking, because the more it runs in my mind and I don't, either shift the energy or talk to somebody about it or journal it out or read a book that has me have an aha thing around it, then it does drain my energy. And what is it that the brain takes up with a certain percentage of oxygen, which actually drains, like the brain actually starts to take some of your energy away.
It takes a huge amount, 25% of your energy.
There you go.
Your body
because so if you're an overthinker,
it
might be a little bit more than 25%. I don't know. But isn't that an interesting concept to think of?
And look, and I think that while we're talking about mental and emotional things here, what most people may not be immediately obvious to people is that your environment and your physical environment and what you do with your physical body also has a massive part to play in your energy story.
Okay, so that takes me to the next question. I think that you might be able to wrap in what you're saying to the next question. So the next question is, what do you do to speed up recovery? So from being drained, what do you do to speed up your recovery to get your energy back up?
That is really simple. That's sunlight, get on the ground, breathe, get into some cold water, and stillness. Stillness in meditation. That, for me personally, I'll wind this back slightly, back to that, the physical aspect. Both you and I have done, Angie and I, we've both done a great deal of work on our physical environment, on our physical bodies, which keeps our energy high. If you're not a person that takes notice of your physical environment and your physical body when it comes to your energy, will probably think that the shit that goes on in your head is twice as bad as it really could be, because of the fact that you are not, or don't have any focus on your physical body. So as Angie mentioned, while your mind and the mental things can be the things that drain you the most or occupy your thoughts the most, the fastest thing that you can do to intervene in that and recover is the physical stuff that you can do for your body, because it doesn't require thinking. It doesn't require you to be emotionally, it can. I mean, shit, look at you getting into cold water was a physically taxing thing from an emotional point of view, fighting it. So I think to this point, for me, the fastest recovery is getting into nature, and having time to be silent, because of the way that my mind works. And I know that for a lot of high-powered people, and you don't have to be a certain type of person or a personality or a this or a that. I think that
you're human.
I think that if you're living in Western society, you're running a business, you've got a family, you've got bills to pay, you've got mortgages, you've got all these normal things. Stillness is a I don't know the word for it. It's a weapon. It's a super weapon for you. To be able to cultivate stillness and be able to sit still, because you will open when the surface noise of everything fades, you're going to get a glimpse into what it is that's really knocking you from the inside. So
and that's why we have a tagline that we like to use on our social media, and it's "Breathe in the sun." And for me, that's probably the biggest and greatest pattern interrupter in the middle of the business of my life, is being able to step outside, be able to see the sun and feel the wind. And I love the wind on my face, and feel nature around me.
It provide like a healing experience to people through, whether it's through the breathing that we do or the events or when we get to sit down and talk to people. It's a different perspective. It's a different type of energy. And I think that just being able to be in contact with people in that energy helps them heal. It helps them just start to feel like there's progress and happiness happening, and what it's like to feel this energy. What is it like to feel the energy of happiness, and how can you get back there? It's not something that you get to sit in all day long, because you're not a Buddha on a cloud, because otherwise living in this world you get run over, or you won't be able to pay your taxes or something like that. So it doesn't happen. But what it does mean is it means that you can drop into that space. You learn the skills to be able to drop into that space. And so if you're sitting on the UN Council, or you're teaching the grade 2s at your local primary school, you are going to feel what it feels like to be successful, to be happy, and that is going to rub off on everyone else around you. So the collective for me, the collective energy is to be able to give people access to success and happiness.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said about, a little ray of sunshine to make you feel better, because it does. Yeah. So if we can create little rays of sunshine within ourselves and show other people how to do that, might light up a few.
And you need to understand that you do have little rays of sunshine in you. Your mitochondria in your body are letting it off, letting off little sunshines all the time. So,
and I think that's why Shane is so, I say Shane, we both are really fanatical about physical health and physical well-being. It's about being able to look after that mitochondria, because if they are managing the energy in the body, and if there are little drops of sunshine and they're starting to fade away, well, we have to look after that mitochondria cells to bring them back to life.
And I know we bring this back to a physical thing, but literally,
it is.
If you are not taking
everything comes down to a personal energy issue.
I have to say this: if you are not taking care of yourself, you're gonna end up a miserable lump. Like what I mean by that is your body will end up as a miserable lump. That doesn't mean that the essence, the spark of who you are, there's something wrong with. There's never anything wrong with that. But the vehicle that you're sitting in, the meat sack, the skin bag that you're in, if you're not taking care of it, you will lead a life of being miserable from it,
Well, it's a conflict. The spark inside you wants to shine, but the body is struggling. So that's talking about, what drains you the most is that going against your human nature, I think. So on that note,
wow, this has been the Energized Leader podcast for the Breathe Me team.
Yes. Thank you, and we just invite you. Whatever you got out of this session, give it a try. Play with your own kind of energy levels and see what you can do to bring a little light in.
We would love to have some questions as well. I would love to have some interaction from people that are listening to this. If you if you agree with things, even if you disagree.
Shane loves that.
It helps me grow and helps me understand where we can, if we need to tighten things up, or if there's things that you don't get, that you hear us talking about that you don't get, allow us the opportunity to be able to simplify and put it in concrete language, so that you can get the benefit of it.
And the easiest way to do that is to send an email to info@breatheme.com. So info@BREATHEME.com. We'll put it in the show notes.
Find our heads on social media somewhere.
Yeah, and send us a message.
Send us a message.
Yeah. Anyway, keep looking for those drops of ray of sunshine for yourself.